Hello friends, I am Dr. Prachi and I'm a pediatrician. Today we'll be discussing about a very important topic from the NEET PG point of view, that is rickets. So firstly, coming to the definition of rickets, what is rickets? Rickets is a disease of growing bone. That is a disease that occurs in children before the epiphyseal fusion. This is called as rickets. And also there is defect in the mineralization of the bone basically. So these two are the questions. These both are the MCQ questions being asked. Disease of growing bone occurring before the epiphyseal fusion, and there is defect in the mineralization of the bone. Now, before going further in the depth of rickets, it's very important to learn about the vitamin D, role of vitamin D, how it's get activated in our body. So firstly, there is dehydrocholesterol that is present in the dermis of our skin, which is converted into vitamin D with the help of UVB radiations from the sunlight. This vitamin D is converted into 25 hydroxy vitamin D by the enzyme 25 hydroxylase that is present in the liver. This 25 hydroxy vitamin D is the stable form of vitamin D, which has a T half of around 3 weeks. So we are able to measure it. This is the parameter which is being measured in order to see vitamin D deficiency. This is also a question. Okay. Now the next thing, this 25 hydroxy vitamin D is converted into 125 dihydroxy vitamin D with the help of enzyme 1 alpha hydroxylase, which is present in kidney, and this is the active form of vitamin D. Active form means all of the work is done by this form of vitamin D, and this is also a question from the NEET. Okay, this active form of vitamin D acts on bone, leads to increased mineralization of the bone. In the kidney, it leads to increased calcium levels and increased phosphate levels by increasing the absorption from the proximal tubules, and through the intestine they have increased calcium and phosphate absorption. So this is the main work of vitamin D. Now coming to the causes of rickets, firstly there is vitamin D deficiency, and nutritional vitamin D deficiency is the most common cause of rickets, which is again a question, which is the most common cause of rickets? That is nutritional vitamin D deficiency. The other causes which we have to cram, because questions have repeatedly come from this topic, causes of rickets are congenital vitamin D deficiency, malabsorption of vitamin D, increased degradation, decreased liver 25 hydroxylase levels as we have seen in previous slide. Then there are vitamin D dependent rickets type 1 and 2. We will be discussing in further slides. Chronic kidney disease. In calcium deficiency, we have low intake, low dietary intake, premature rickets, that is rickets of prematurity, malabsorption, any primary disease, or dietary inhibitors of the calcium absorption. In the phosphorus deficiency, there is inadequate intake, premature rickets, then aluminum containing antacids. In the renal losses, we have hypophosphatemic rickets, that is again of three types, that is X-linked, dominant, autosomal recessive, and autosomal dominant. Tumor induced rickets, renal tubular acidosis, and Fanconi syndrome. The questions have been asked, what are the causes? All of the above are causes except, like in this form, most common cause of rickets. So questions have been come repeatedly from this table. Now coming from to the clinical features of rickets, again a very important point topic. A lot number of questions have been asked from it. General, firstly a general features, that is failure to thrive, listlessness means lethargy, protuberant abdominal, muscle weakness, that is a proximal muscle weakness is seen in rickets, and there's fractures, that is fracture with the previous trauma. Okay, now coming from head to toe. In head there is craniotabes. It's a very important, a lot number of questions have been asked from craniotabes. What exactly in craniotabes? Craniotabes is exactly basically softening of the skull bone. So the bones are very soft, the skull bones are soft, and when we press the two parietal area bones, so it will be like a ping pong ball basically. That is craniotabes. It's a feature of rickets, very important. Then frontal bossing, delayed fontanelle closure, delayed dentition, and caries. Caries is also seen in rickets. And craniosynostosis, that is abnormal fusion of the skull sutures basically. Next is skull, chest. There is ricketic rosary. This is very important. Rachitic rosary is basically, there is, imagine this is a child. So in the rachitic rosary, there is prominent of this costochondral junction is there. And the most important point is it's a non-tender prominence. It's different from the scorbutic rosary from the fact it is obtuse and it's non-tender. Scorbutic rosary is angulated like this and it's that is tender. So there's rachitic rosary. Then there's a Harrison's groove. What is Harrison's groove? Harrison's groove is exactly because of the coastal margin. There's a depression between it. It is because when the respiratory muscles act on these softened ribs, then there's a depression is formed. That is called as a Harrison's groove. This is also a very important feature of rickets. Then because of all these there is weakness of, there is softening of rib, and when the muscles act on it, there will be differential airflow, and due to which there is respiratory tract infections and atelectasis is there. So there is increased propensity to infections in these children. A lot number of questions have been asked about the clinical features of rickets in various forms. Like all of the above are features of rickets except, like these kind of questions of craniotabes is seen in which disease, like this. So next is back may there is scoliosis, kyphosis, lordosis in extremities. There is enlargement of the wrist. There will be enlargement of the wrist and skull, valgum and varus deformities, windswept deformities. I'll be talking about it in detail in the next slide. There will be coxa leg pain, hypocalcemic symptoms like tetany, seizures, and stridor. Now, what is valgum, varum, and windswept deformity? Windswept deformity, questions have been come from it. This topic is also very, very important topic. So, look at this child. Look at the knees of this child. These are fall apart. So, this is called as, this is a varus deformity. Okay. And this one varus and one valgus, this deformity is called as the windswept deformity. This is a very important thing. Windswept deformity is seen in rickets. Okay, so this is a windswept, one varus and one valgus, and this knock knees is valgus deformity. Then there is double malleolus. This is also very important feature, double malleoli. This is seen in rickets. Okay, and then this, see, yeah, this is rachitic rosary, and this is non-tender, as I have talked previously. Now coming to the evaluation of the disease. Evaluation can be clinical, biochemical, and radiological. Three type of features are there. Clinical I have discussed. Now coming to the biochemical one. Biochemically, as now I have told you, there is vitamin D deficiency. Most common cause is nutritional vitamin D deficiency. So because of deficiency of vitamin D, there will be more of the parathyroid hormone. So calcium levels will be normal to low. Phosphate levels will be decreased because of parathyroid hormone levels. Alkaline phosphate, because of the osteoclastic activity by the PTH, ALP levels will be increased and PTH levels will be increased, I have told. Now coming to the radiological features, biochemical features, these are also a question, very, very important. Now radiological features, when we talk about, there will be widening of the metaphysis is there. This is a very, very important question. Epiphyseal widening is seen in which disease? That is rickets. Okay, then there will be cupping is there. This cup formation, this is called as cupping. Then there will be fraying and splaying. So these all are the questions. What all features are seen radiologically? There will be cupping, widening I have told you, cupping, there will be splaying, and there will be fraying. These all are seen in vitamin D. These all are seen in rickets. So a very, very important questions come from this topic too. Okay. Now coming to what is white line of healing. Can you see this? Can you appreciate this white line? This is white line of healing which is seen if adequate treatment to a vitamin D deficiency ricket patient is given, and after 4 weeks if we take an x-ray, then this white line of healing is seen. And which all x-rays are important? We have to take a PA view x-ray of wrist. we take a non-dominant hand wrist because there is less chances of any trauma on of that hand. That's why only there is no other reason, or other weight bearing joints like knees or ankle. So now coming to the treatment part, what all therapy. So according to the new guidelines, initially we used to follow STOS regime. What exactly is STOS regime? In STOS regime, we used to give a large amount of vitamin D in one go. That is like 6 lakh international unit by one single IM injection, or 60,000 international unit given for next 10 days. But according to the new guidelines, instead of giving such large amount of vitamin D in one go, we should go slowly. So according to new guidelines, 2,000 international units per day in units, 1 to 12,000 international, 12,000 in infants, and 3 to 6,000 for 3 months, are 3 months to be given of vitamin D. Then a maintenance dose of 400 and 600 should be given. And for the same period, calcium should be given in the dose of 30 to 75 mg per kg per day. So this is the new treatment regime to be followed. Now coming to our next very important topic, that is refractory rickets. Questions have been asked about this topic too, that is refractory rickets. Firstly, coming to the definition. When no white line of healing up is demonstrated, as I told you, as I've shown you in the pictures, that after 4 weeks this white line of healing can be appreciated. But even after 2 mega doses of vitamin D, if we are not able to see this white line of healing, then this is a case of refractory rickets. Okay, now coming to the causes. First is vitamin D dependent rickets. It's of two types, type 1 and type 2. I will be discussing further. Familial hypophosphatemic rickets, it's X-linked dominant. Then autosomal recessive and autosomal dominant. Chronic kidney disease, renal tubular acidosis. Now, in order to learn about the vitamin D dependent rickets, this table will be again helpful. In vitamin D dependent rickets, basically main problem occurs at this step. Type 1, in vitamin D dependent rickets type 1, there will be deficiency of this 1-alpha hydroxylase enzyme. So now what happens, because of the deficiency of 1-alpha hydroxylase, there will be decreased formation of this active form of vitamin D. As I've told you about, this is the active form working. So there will be deficiency of this enzyme. So there will be vitamin D is present. There will be increased levels of these, but there will be decreased levels of active form, because of which no action will be there. And in vitamin D dependent rickets type 2, what problem is there? In type 2, basically this is producing an adequate amount, but there is end organ resistance, because of the receptors are not able to take this active form. So the receptors present on these bone, kidney and intestine, there is end organ resistance of these receptors for 125 dihydroxy vitamin D. So in type 2, there will be very increased amount of 125 dihydroxy vitamin D, but that vitamin D is not able to act. In vitamin D dependent type 1 and type 2 rickets, it is the rickets which occurred in 3 to 6 months of age. There is very early manifestations are there. Coming to the various biochemical findings in different type of rickets, questions have been asked from this table. Firstly, first is the nutritional rickets. As we have talked for initially too, there will be decrease to normal calcium levels, phosphorus level will be decreased, ALP levels will be increased, PTH level will be increased, and this will be less to A. Okay. And in type 1 vitamin D rickets, as I've told you, there will be decreased levels and there will be increased levels. In type 1, there will be decreased levels of 125 dihydroxy. In type 2, there will be increased levels because end organ resistance. Now the questions that have been asked is, see the table. In chronic renal failure, there is increased phosphorus. In rest of all the rickets, there will be no decreased phosphorus, and this is normal. So question is been asked, in which type of rickets is been associated with increased phosphorus level? Why increased phosphorus? Because there will be kidney में problem है, so there will be decreased excretion of phosphorus through the kidney, so there will be increased phosphorus level in this. And next, then there are questions about the, in all the type of rickets there is increased alkaline phosphatase except hypophosphatasia. Same goes with parathyroid, this hypophosphatasia. So you don't know to go in detail of hypophosphatasia. It's an inborn error of metabolism. The only thing that you want has to learn is this is the only condition in which there will be decreased alkaline phosphatase levels. The questions have been asked on this too. Okay, so thank you for watching.